Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Minecraft, starting with the Awakening Block Puppet Master. Chapter 21. As soon as they heard the space jump, everyone clamored and wanted the Calamity Lark to demonstrate it. The Calamity Lark looked back at Ji-Shin, wanting to ask for his opinion. Ji-Shin smiled and did not help Bai Ling make any decisions. You are no one's slave now. You can make your own decisions on whatever you want to do. The Disaster Lark was slightly touched, with a different kind of light shining in his eyes. In the past, when Zinpan used his abilities, he had to follow the decision of his disaster team. Once he acted without permission, he would be greeted by cursed arrows all over his body. Master, I understand. The Calamity Lark raised his slightly weak right hand and easily drew a broken window in the air. The other end of the window happened to be connected to the cave of the base. Cow Lark, I can actually see the box in the cave from here. Yes, from now on we brothers will have to rely on you to protect us when we kill zombies. 7 in and 7 out is not a dream. I put my words here. If you rough guys dare to bully Bai Ling, I, Shu Da, will be the first to disagree. Look what you said, just don't bully others. Once the Calamity Lark's ability was revealed, he quickly became the favorite of the tough guys in the Iron Armor gang, and his status even almost surpassed that of Chulinger beside him. What charging warrior wouldn't like a teleporter who can take you home at any time? The Calamity Lark was a little embarrassed by the praise from everyone, so he mustered up his breath and pulled the space crack wider to make it easier for everyone to pass through. Ji-Shin looked at this heartwarming scene with a smile. His team was gradually taking shape, including a nanny who replenished blood, a warrior who charged, and a teleporter who could greatly improve combat mobility. This is all heading towards the perfect team. Just when everyone was enjoying themselves, Ji-Shin's heart suddenly contracted violently, and then intense pain quickly spread throughout his body. What happened? Could it be the aftereffects of the cursed arrow? No, how is this possible? There is not much curse power left in the body. Ji-Shin felt as if countless ants were gnawing and biting at his heart. This kind of pain was almost beyond the limit that a human being could bear. What is going on? Open black lens bracket ding. The host level has reached level 10, the first level of Gene Lock has been deciphered, and all attributes have been doubled. Career upgrade. Block Puppet Master Right Pointing Arrow Block Enchanter. Close black lens bracket. New skill. Enchantment LV1. The enchantment effect can be applied to any item, including summoned puppets, and the effect will be permanent. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. Attunement enchantment needs to be used with lapis lazuli puppets and diamond puppets. Please host to create these two puppets as soon as possible. The sound of the system fell, and the intense pain quickly disappeared without a trace, leaving only infinite warmth. After advancing from level 9 to level 10, not only did his attributes increase, but his professional title also changed from the original Block Puppet Master to the Block Enchanter. Click on the system panel, and all aspects of the attributes are digitized. Name, Ji-Shin. Level 10. Life, 100 points. Hunger value, 100 points. Attack power, 40 points. Defense, 10 points. Speed, 20 points. Occupation, SSS Block Puppet Master, SSS Level Block Enchanter. Power of Godhead, Block Control LV2, Block Puppet LV1, Flame Burning LV1, Enchantment LV1, Leader Title LV1. After reaching level 10, Ji-Shin's various attributes are already on par with a steel puppet. In terms of overall combat effectiveness, he can easily defeat 5 steel puppets alone. More importantly, Ji-Shin gained a new skill, Enchantment. Although attunement enchantment sounds ordinary, its maneuverability cannot be underestimated. Just imagine, attaching an undead killer to Steel 1, and placing it among the zombies would be like a big daddy. No matter how powerful the zombies are, they will have to kneel down and sing the song of conquest. Moreover, there is no requirement for enchantment that a puppet can only be enchanted once. Knockback, additional flames, precise collection, thorns. These effects can completely appear on a puppet. A heavily armed steel army asks you whether you are afraid or not. Chulinger in the crowd was the first to notice Ji-Shin's strangeness, and asked with some confusion, "Why are you giggling?" "I'm happy. Why can't I smile when I'm happy?" Ji-Shin waved his hand, without explaining too much, and followed the others through the space crack created by the disaster lark and entered the cave. From this upgrade, he clearly discovered a very important thing: careers can also be upgraded. Every 10 levels is a stage. After level 10, a brand new profession will be derived based on the original profession and a related skill will be obtained. You don't need to think about it to know that this is definitely not Ji Xin's patent. Wang Cheng and Chu Ling'er's professions will also be upgraded and become stronger in the future, but they won't be as heaven-defying as their own. As for whether the same profession can lead to different career directions, this needs to be studied slowly. Ji Xin was constantly thinking about the next plan in his mind, and the matter of upgrading his subordinates had to be put on the agenda as soon as possible. Now that the base's defense system and food system are completely paralyzed, the first mess he has to solve after taking over is to solve these two problems and re-establish a good circulation system. In view of the food union's previous suppression of them, he would not leave a way for the other party to survive. Unlike the previous single-story aerial farm, this time he would build a 100-story super-large stacked farm. Each level of the farm is twice the original area, and the amount of soil required is simply astronomical. This is simply impossible for others, but it is not difficult for Ji Xin. Collecting it instantly does not consume any hunger points. He only needs to prepare the food consumed during exercise. In one morning, he plowed the land around the base and collected a lot of soil. During this period, he also encountered many zombies wandering from outside the base. After 3 punches and 2 kicks, he no longer had to worry about eating. Now that the supply of pumpkins is gone, zombie heads have become a precious resource again in Ji Xin's eyes, and the early production of bone puppets relies on these. Okay, that's the blueprint. The farm will follow this format. Call all the Ironclad gang on board and try to complete the first 3 floors before dark. Ji Xin handed the drawings of the farm to Chu Ling'er and asked everyone to start by building a few layers to solve the immediate problem and then slowly expand upwards. The number of shocked zombies can be managed during the day, but at night, the number is simply outrageous. Chu Ling'er looked at the content on the drawing. After Bailu Farm came into view, her mouth remained open in surprise. Putting aside whether the 100-story farm can be built, Ji Xin's idea alone has shocked her for 100 years. The big boy in front of me always has some incredible things in his mind. As for the core collection system of the farm, Ji Xin does not intend to let the straw puppet act as the collection program. It is faster to use water flow plus a funnel to collect. The straw puppet is only responsible for sowing after harvesting. After Ji Xin gave the order, everyone in the base got busy, and even the stone puppets acted as transport vehicles. The stone golem's combat effectiveness is not high, but its endurance is much stronger than that of the iron golem. Especially when it comes to digging rocks, he is not even a fraction faster than ordinary people. He is simply a born miner. Ji Xin took out the zombie heads that he had collected in advance, his eyes bursting with light, intending to refine these heads together. Open black lens bracket ding. Zombie head puppetization *50. After eating a few spicy sticks, the bottomed out hunger level quickly returned to full. Driving the puppet does not consume hunger points, but it still consumes a lot of energy when refining it at the beginning. Ji Xin thought for a long time, and finally he made all these zombie heads into stone puppets. Now that the base is under construction, high-quality labor like stone puppet is in shortest supply. In addition, he also wants to build a mining system, with stone puppets as the main force. After all, the stone business is still very profitable. When Ji Xin mentioned stones, he immediately thought of his own shop. The stones stored in the store have long been sold out, and I have not renewed them. This is equivalent to breaking my promise. Most of the buyers have already called me a dog. When I opened the message from D store, the first sentence that caught my eye was not a curse. Family members, who knows why such a conscientious shop closed down? Close black lens bracket. Yeah, look, his profile picture is all black. He was probably bitten to death by zombies, woo woo woo. I hope the shop owner is okay, I'll keep one with you. Close black lens bracket. Upstairs, where did you get the cigarette? Close black lens bracket. I didn't have a cigarette, I was just greedy, so I just found a wooden stick to smoke. Close black lens bracket. Damn the Stonemasons Association, the price of their stones has increased again. Now that the D store is closed, where can we civilian players buy stones to repair the base? Close black lens bracket. There are many more messages, but none of them are cursing Ji Shin. Most people's messages are about caring about him, and some even use the message area of D store as a place to complain. Ji Shin was a little touched. In troubled times, people's lives are not easy. I clicked on the store of the Stonemasons Association and saw that the price of a set of rough stones was actually raised to 3 months of life. This was simply a money grab. It seems that you have been very comfortable these past few days since I disappeared. Ji Shin had a vague hunch that the food union's exclusion of them was probably related to the Masons Association. It doesn't matter, I will take action. From today on, whether it is the Stonemasons Association or the food union, they will all go bankrupt. In a matchbox made of mud, an unknown player was shivering. Without stones, he could only rely on the soft soil to block the zombies' attack. When the zombies got stronger, the soil would no longer be enough. In the state of shock, zombies will gradually become stronger as time goes by. Earth can only withstand zombies for 10 days. If you want to live longer, you must buy stones. Stones can withstand zombies for 50 days. Zombies, the safety factor is greatly increased. This is also the real reason why some people still buy the Masonry Association's continuous price increases. How should we live this life? After 10 days, zombies will learn to destroy the soil. The player put his hand on his forehead and sighed repeatedly. He currently only has the last year of his life savings. If he spends all of these life savings, he will have to use his lifespan to buy the things he needs in the future. Open black lens bracket ding. The D store you are particularly interested in has recently launched 300 sets of rough stones. Please purchase according to your needs. Wowsow. The emperor is not dead. When he was dying of illness, he sat up in shock and rushed to buy stones by himself. Boss, you are not dead. Close black lens bracket. I still only buy 15 days of longevity for a set of stones. I just cried to death for the emperor's first product. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket original flavor. Boss, where have you been these past few days? My wallet misses you so much. Open black lens bracket no. Boss, why do you always wait until I finish buying Stonemasons Guild stones before putting them on the shelves? Are you targeting me? No, I'm going to have to go get my money back from those guys at the Stonemasons Guild. Close black lens bracket. Ji Shin looked at the messages left by each player and laughed unconsciously. He worked overtime to dig these 300 groups of stones, and added them temporarily to meet his urgent needs. After the stone golem quarrying project is completed, the problem of stone supply will be solved. In fact, he had another purpose, to buy seeds. The construction of the farm has been put on the agenda, but the problem of seeds has not been solved, especially the pumpkin seeds, none of which were bombed. Zombies are rampant outside, and it is impossible to look for them. The only way is to buy them from other players in the system store. Ji Shin's fingers quickly placed a paragraph at the top of the page. Thank you for your concern and support. We did encounter some things some time ago, but they have been resolved now. In order to give back to new and old users, D-Store launched a seed for stone activity. Close black lens bracket. Every 3 different seeds can be exchanged for a set of stones in our store, only once per person, until all 300 sets of stones are used up. Immediately afterwards, there was an active button in the lower right corner of D's store. The page after clicking in is very simple, just like the simplified version of the workbench. Place seeds in the 3 grids on the left. As long as the above requirements are met, a group of stones will appear in the grid on the right, which is easy to understand at a glance. Once the event was released, it directly attracted the attention of the entire network. You must know that in the eyes of players, this event is no different from throwing money. The number of comments on D-Store surged instantly, and the popularity that had dissipated in the past few days was reignited. Open black lens bracket why? Why did the boss collect the seeds so well? Could it be that D-Store is going to enter the food brand? Close black lens bracket. You are so stupid upstairs. The shop owner is obviously throwing money away, so you can just enjoy it secretly. Close black lens bracket. Thanks for the gift, boss. Close black lens bracket. It has to be said that Ji Shin killed 2 birds with 1 stone with this move. In this way, he not only collected enough original seeds, but also accumulated enough reputation and popularity for the D store, laying a solid foundation for future business wars. On a plain, towering walls surrounded the Masons Association, blocking the attack of zombies from the outside. If any civilian player passes by this place, they will definitely say that it is inhumane. The stones here are all things they can't even afford to buy at their own risk. In fact, the cost of these stones is not expensive. In places like the Stonemasons Association where many miners and quarriers gather, the cost of a set of stones is only a few hours of life. The reason why the Stonemasons Guild has been able to soar into the sky is largely due to this shocking 100-day trial. Bang! A wooden door was kicked open, and Hu Biao said with a panic on his face, "The president is in trouble, D shop is back from the dead." Question mark. Jia Junyu. 6. The fifth day of shocking changes. The Beilu farm has been built to the 15th floor. The food system in the base has basically been restored, and there is even a situation where there is even more than enough to eat. Of course, it's not yet time to sell grain for money. If you want to have a chance with the Food Association, you have to wait until the farm reaches the 50th floor. Because of the sudden return of D Shop, the entire Stonemasons Association became restless, especially their president Jia Junyu, who was extremely busy all day long and had trouble sleeping and eating. Ji Shin's fully automatic ore collection system has been initially completed. Stone puppet mining is really fast, not inferior to professional miners at all. The best thing about this kind of labor is that you can work for yourself non-stop, and you don't need to salary. Looking at it this way, puppetry is also a super buggy ability. After your life is properly arranged, you should also keep up with the development of your own strength as soon as possible. Ji Shin threw the lapis lazuli block and the pumpkin head, and a white light suddenly appeared, and a lapis lazuli puppet appeared in front of him. The lapis lazuli puppet's entire body is dark blue. When it walks, it will leave a deep blue footprint on the ground, which will disappear after 15 seconds. It looks like a dwarf villager. The system panel pops up, and the introduction of lapis lazuli puppet appears in front of you. Lapis lazuli puppet, HP 100, attack power 40, defense power 10, speed 20, special attributes. You can store and infinitely copy existing enchantment books. There is no need to add additional lapis lazuli when using the enchantment table. Save and remember all lapis lazuli puppet sharing. Close black lens bracket. The basic attributes are similar to those of a stone golem, but the special attributes can be very useful. As we all know, enchanted books are one-time consumables in Minecraft. The enchantments are lost one at a time and cannot be copied. But with this lapis lazuli puppet, Ji Shin can store various precious enchanting books in the body of the lapis lazuli puppet. Whenever he wants to enchant a weapon, he can use an ordinary book to add the corresponding enchantment effect. In this way, as long as you get one of the extremely difficult to obtain enchanted books such as Experience Repair, Frost Walker, Binding Curse, and Vanishing Curse, you can refill them indefinitely in the future without having to worry about running out of them. Selling enchanted books seems to be quite profitable. Ji Xinju himself is really a business genius. He can think of anything to earn longevity. "Master, are you free?" A slightly timid voice came to Ji Shin's ears. He turned around and saw that the person coming was none other than the Disaster Lark. Since the Disaster Lark joined the big loving family, his personality has become much more lively, but why is he so shy when facing Ji Shin, his master? Ji Shin shuddered at the look in his eyes, always feeling that something was strange. Aha, maybe something strange happened. No, it must be broken back for him. Ji Shin put down the work at hand and said earnestly, "Bailing, don't stay in the cave all day. Go out and walk more and bask in the sun. This is good for your health." "Yes, master, my disciples all obey you." The Disaster Lark nodded obediently and looked at Ji Shin with eyes full of stars. Ji Shin sighed. This guy is also pitiful. He has grown up under oppression for a long time, and his character has become morbid. It cannot be corrected overnight. "Tell me, what do you want from me?" "I want to ask." The Calamity Lark became a little flustered, just like a shy little girl. "No one here will blame you for saying the wrong thing, and no one will hit you. Just say what you want." Ji Shin was a little helpless. To be honest, he was not good at communicating with a very introverted person like Calamity Lark. A warmth arose in the heart of the Calamity Lark, and he hesitated to speak out the second half of the sentence in his heart. Will we have a chance to return to the land of disaster in the future? Return to the land of disaster. Ji Shin was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the other party wanted to ask this question, but it made sense after thinking about it carefully. For a teenage boy, being so far away from home, it is inevitable to feel homesick. Seeing Ji Shin's frown, the disaster bailing thought it was because his master was unwilling, and said with some frustration, "If it doesn't work, just pretend I didn't say it." No. Ji Shin stood up, walked to the disaster lark, and said in an extremely firm voice, "We will definitely go back to the disaster land in the future, but not now. Our strength is still too weak now. If we fight back, we will undoubtedly die." Ji Shin's personality is a bit crazy, but he is not arrogant at all. SSS-level professions are indeed very strong, but before they have developed, trying to conquer an entire country is undoubtedly an egg against a stone. I would not do this kind of thing that would lead to death. If I want to do it, I have to do something that I am sure of. At least 98% of the time. Ji Shin paused for a moment and continued, "Don't worry about this. I will definitely do what I promised you. When I am strong enough, I will defeat the entire disaster land for you. From now on, you will be the disaster king of Era. How about it? The king of disaster." The disaster lark repeated these 4 words in his mouth, and his heart seemed to be greatly shocked. Ji Shin felt a little guilty. He looked more and more like the evil capitalist. Conquering the land of disaster. Well, this cake is a little too big, I don't know if Bai Ling can eat it. This shouldn't be considered a big deal. After all, it is really possible for him to conquer the disaster land in the future. It probably doesn't count. The disaster bailing shook away the distracting thoughts in his mind and said again, "Master, I don't actually want to be the Lord of Disaster. I just want to be by your side forever." Ah, Ji Shin was immediately confused. What kind of tiger wolf talk was this? Then why do you want to return to the land of disaster? The disaster bailing paused and continued. The disciple wants to return to the disaster kingdom and bring all the Zinpan there to live here. Bring other Zinpan to live here. Why? Ji Shin's eyes lit up. Why hadn't he thought of this idea before? Zinpan is a high-level talent who can jump in space. If he can capture them all and train them a little, he will be a combat force that cannot be underestimated. How many hearts are there in the Kingdom of Calamity? I can contact thousands of people. Seeing Ji Shin's interest, the disaster lark immediately replied. Ji Shin groped his chin and kept thinking. Zinpan has no human rights in the land of disaster, and has no food, warmth, or sleep. However, there is no shortage of food or space here, and it can accommodate thousands of Zinpan living at the same time. This will definitely offend the Kingdom of Calamity, and conflict is inevitable. But it doesn't matter. Compared with the Zinpan team of thousands of people, it's okay to be a little bit risky. A wonderful, poaching plan slowly took shape in Ji Shin's mind. Let's not rush this matter now. You are too weak now, I need to arm you. Zinpan couldn't wear any equipment, and couldn't even pick up the most common wooden sword. If he wanted to arm the disaster lark, Ji Shin had to find another way. He stood up and walked to a large box, rummaged through it and took out 5 pumpkins and half a set of iron blocks. Puppetry is activated. The pumpkin and the iron block were entangled with each other, and in the blink of an eye, 5 steel puppets suddenly appeared in the cave. The steel puppets made with pumpkin heads are the same as the original iron puppets. Although their combat effectiveness is not as good as those of their own personal puppets made with monster heads, they are enough to protect the disaster lark. Ji Shin patted the disaster lark on the shoulder and said, "Due to your physical defects, you cannot wear any equipment or weapons. These puppets can just make up for your shortcomings in this area." As he spoke, the 5 steel puppets slowly melted into a pool of black shadow and got into the shadow of the disaster lark. With these puppets, no one will dare to bully you anymore. Even in the face of thousands of troops, my puppets can stop them. If there is anything that can quickly increase a Zinpan's combat effectiveness, the puppet he summoned must be one of them. The mobility of space jumping coupled with the ultra-high output of the steel puppet can increase Zinpan's combat effectiveness by several levels. In this way, Ji Shin can be regarded as fulfilling the promise he made to the disaster bailing. The Calamity 100 felt the powerful force that was constantly wandering in the shadows. An unprecedented sense of security came to their hearts, and their excited voices trembled. Master, can I really control this power? He had witnessed the strength of the steel golem with his own eyes. A fully armed disaster team could not survive 2 rounds in front of the golem. It was a perfect war machine. If he had had this power, his parents might not have died. Ji Shin scratched his head, not knowing how to answer this question. The Calamity Lark is able to control them because the puppets obey their orders. All orders must be carried out without violating Ji Shin's wishes. You can understand it this way. At least you don't have to worry about your own safety. I have never seen a person who can defeat 5 steel puppets alone. Disaster Lark was a little moved, and bent his legs slightly to give Ji Shin a kiss. This is unnecessary. Ji Shin quickly pulled up the Disaster Lark and said with a smile, "These are what I promised you. When I have the corresponding enchanted book in the future, I will refine a stronger one for you, puppet. Don't forget that your ideal is to be a powerful bad guy." The place of disaster. The extremely strong aura of disaster has been raging here for tens of thousands of years. The only people who can survive here are the mutated disaster villagers. Calamity advocates killing. In recent years, King Calamity has been looking for opportunities to launch wars in various regions, hoping to expand his rule. Kingdom Castle. The dark-skinned king of disaster, wearing a crown, was sitting on a high platform, looking solemnly at the messenger knight kneeling below. He cleared his throat, a rich and majestic voice sounded. "Tell me, the progress of the exploration of the trial land." "If I tell the king, they are all dead." A disaster knight replied tremblingly. King Calamity's expression didn't change much after hearing this, as if this kind of thing happened often. "Well, I understand. It is not easy to explore other areas. Sacrifice is inevitable. I have ordered that the families of those who died while exploring other areas can receive double the condolence money." Beads of sweat appeared on the forehead of the disaster knight. He did not immediately thank him, but added with a trembling voice. "Those who explored the trial land did not die in other areas, but died in their own territory. They also brought foreigners into the land of disaster." As soon as these words came out, the hall fell into silence for an instant, and the knight who reported the news even held his own breath. The Calamity King looked a little stunned, as if he had heard something very ridiculous. They let others kill them on their own territory. What a bunch of useless trash. Let's demote all their families into slaves and go work in the mines. The disaster knight swallowed, and the last thing he wanted to hear happened. The Calamity King has a very weird character, is cruel and bloodthirsty, and his various rules are a bit confusing. There is essentially no difference between the 2 previous sacrifices. They both died for the kingdom, but the treatment they received was completely different. The disaster knight also wanted to plead for mercy for his dead comrades. "King, their family has no fault, please. Do you also want to be demoted to mining?" A sullen look appeared on King Calamity's face. A little messenger knight dared to openly question him. This was simply an insult to himself. In no mood, the disaster knight bowed. Demotion was the best outcome. He had been prepared to die before coming. Hundreds of messenger knights serving the king have died, including him. What is going to happen next is the most important thing. King Calamity calmed down a little and continued, "Bring that foreigner here, I want to interrogate him personally." The Calamity Knight's heart that had just been relieved was lifted again. The foreigner. The foreigner killed another royal city guard and then escaped. He also took away the Bailing Zinpan. This disaster knight is also a real person and did not tell a lie to save his own life. Upon hearing Bailing Zinpan, King Calamity's expression changed instantly, and the atmosphere quickly became tense. He stood up and walked down the platform, came to the knight, and said in a cold voice, "Do you know the biggest difference between Bailing Zinpan and other ordinary Zinpan?" The messenger knight's body had already been shaken into chaff at this time. As a close associate of the emperor, the reason why Bailing Zinpan became a Bailing was because he could travel back and forth between any areas without any restrictions. When Bai Ling's parents rebelled, a big reason was to prevent their child, Disaster Bai Ling, from becoming a tool of war. Only then, with the determination to die, resolutely launched the uprising, but unfortunately it failed. With the character of King Calamity, it would not be too much to implicate the 9 Bailing clans, but their son, Calamity Bailing, was pardoned. In the eyes of others, this may be the king's mercy to leave a bloodline in their family. And he knew very well that the king just wanted to leave a useful tool. King Calamity strolled out of the castle, his voice heard in the distance. Send someone to look for me. No matter what the cost, we must bring Bailing Zinpan back. If we can't do it, you can come and see me. Yes. Open black lens bracket 9th day of shock close black lens bracket. In just a few days, the original dilapidated appearance of the base was no longer there, replaced by many breathtaking tall buildings. During this period, Ji Xin used the power of creation to raise 4 walls spanning the sky and the earth around his base. Each city wall is 100 blocks high and 10 blocks wide, like a super shield, firmly blocking out zombies from the outside world. Zombies that have not mutated for 50 days are completely incapable of digging through such a thick city wall. Of course, in Ji Xin's view, the sudden change was not just a crisis, but more like a test, or a trial. Zombies are essentially the same as unmutated zombies, and killing them will also drop a large amount of experience. As long as you grasp the heat of the trial, crisis can turn into opportunity. Therefore, Ji Xin built a pedicure tunnel at the bottom of the 4 corners of the city wall, forcing the Iron Armor Gang and Chulinger to go to the tunnel to repair the zombies' feet for 2 hours every day in order to gain a lot of experience. Now he can't wait to know what kind of changes will happen to the abilities of the Iron Armor Gang and Chulinger after they break through the genetic lock. Especially for Chulinger, the nanny, if she could derive a group health increasing skill, it would be awesome. Because of the attribute bond, Ji Xin can gain a steady stream of experience even if he does nothing. This made Ji Xin once again confirm his idea of taking in a younger brother. The Sky Farm has been built to 50 floors, and each floor has a reasonably planned crop planting area. Wheat is planted as wheat on the first 10 floors. Under the catalysis of the bone puppet, it can be harvested more than 10 times a day. Sometimes when you stand on a high place and look towards the inside of the farm, you will look sideways and your face will turn golden. No matter how tired you are at that moment, you may be healed by seeing this scene. Pumpkin, as the important source of Ji Xin's puppet head, also has its own separate partition. It can only be said that the obsessive-compulsive disorder is ecstatic after watching it. In the cave, 11 people were eating lunch around an oversized wooden table. This wooden table was designed by Chulinger herself. It was made up of many wooden boards, and the stools were replaced by wooden stairs. It looked extremely weird, but fortunately it was large enough to accommodate 11 people. I repaired the feet of those zombies for 3 hours today, and they almost exhausted me to death. Chulinger took a vicious bite of the golden carrot on the table. Ji Xin smiled slightly and retorted, "This is all for your own good. The pedicure tunnel I designed will allow you to kill monsters without getting hurt and gain a lot of experience. Don't be too obedient to take advantage of it." Chulinger's face suddenly turned red when Ji Xin said this, and she mumbled a little embarrassedly, "I'm just talking casually, don't take it so seriously. By the way, why don't the Calamity Larks come to eat?" Ji Xin shook his head and sighed. He couldn't stay idle and went to inspect the base. The Calamity Lark is different from the time travelers like them. He cannot gain experience by killing zombies, and naturally he cannot use this method to become stronger. Moreover, due to his Zinpan identity, he couldn't even pick up a weapon, and he couldn't even fight monsters. So Ji Xin gave him the task of patrolling the base, and the other party's space jump was just the right match for his expertise. Ji Xin turned around and asked the Iron Armor Gang members who were eating aside, "How are you doing at killing monsters recently?" The reactions of the Iron Armor Gang and others were completely opposite to Chulinger's. Each of them had an excited smile on their face, and the power gained from killing monsters and upgrading gave them great satisfaction. Wang Cheng tightened his biceps and said, "Boss, look at whether my body lines are stronger." As he spoke, he crossed his hands in front of his chest and made a pose, almost tearing his clothes apart. Shu Da saw this and said quickly, "Brother, if you can't do this, it's up to me." Stab. Shu Da tore his shirt directly, and the strips of cloth collapsed everywhere. "Your trapezius muscles are not trained as well as mine, so it's all up to me." Stab. Ji Xin was a little speechless. 7 or 8 muscular men actually started a clothes-breaking competition in front of him. Chulinger on the side turned into a muscle-obsessed girl and kept applauding. Okay, you're old enough, tell me what level you are. Ji Shin stopped everyone. Wang Cheng was the first to speak. We in the Iron Armor gang are all at the same level. After these few days of insisting on pedicures, we are already at level 5. What about you? Ji Shin asked Chulinger. Chulinger put down the carrot in her hand and said a little arrogantly, level 7. Level 7. As soon as they heard this level, the 8 big men who were originally in high spirits suddenly withered. They silently found the armor and put it on, and started eating honestly. They were deeply shocked by Chulinger's level. In order to upgrade as soon as possible, they spend more than 5 hours on pedicures every day, which is 4 hours longer than Chulinger. After working hard for so long, I was outdone by a little girl. It was really embarrassing to say that it was embarrassing. Ji Shin frowned and thought deeply. Chulinger's rapid upgrade did not surprise him. The speed of upgrading has a great relationship with the professional level. AC level Spider Mage upgrades at least 50% faster than AD level Vanguard Warrior. If things go on like this, it is normal for them to be 2 levels higher. Ji Shin himself only killed 1 skeleton monster at the beginning and then reached the first level. The professional bonuses were simply ridiculously high. After Chulinger said her level, her chest was high and she looked at Ji Shin with eyes that seemed to say, praise me now, praise me now. You also want to have a dress breakout? In no mood. Then why don't you sit down and eat? Oh. Ji Shin's words made Chulinger lose her temper at all. After lunch, the ice puppet came over carrying a whole piece of watermelon. The ice puppet is a puppet developed by Ji Shin. Its basic attributes and attack patterns are very similar to those of the bone puppet. The long-range attack puppet can throw ice spikes and slow down the enemy. After hitting 3 consecutive shots, it can also have a freezing control effect. This effect is very useful for making iced watermelon. On a hot summer day, no one can resist a sweet and delicious iced watermelon. Well, boss, you are so awesome. You can even get iced watermelon. We are with the right person. Yeah, I never thought that I could eat iced watermelon in another world. Uoriusuri, other people's shock is a struggle to survive. Our shock is here to eat iced watermelon. Boss, you are my eternal god. A group of muscular men hugged each other and cried with joy. A piece of iced watermelon was given to them and made them cry sweetly. A melon after a meal will be praised by the gods. Ji Shin couldn't help but feel dizzy when he saw them looking like they had never seen the world before. Why do I feel like I'm raising a bunch of children? After dinner and dessert, everyone went back to their work. They not only have to get pedicures every day, but also build redstone buildings such as a 100-story farm and a redstone cannon. Ji Shin takes a long-term view, and he doesn't think that he can sit back and relax just by erecting 4 walls around the base. The more weapons of mass destruction like redstone cannons, the better, and they will definitely be used after they are built. The sinkhole I blew up with TNT. After everyone left, Ji Shin took out 5 diamonds from his backpack and put them in his hands, falling into deep silence. I don't know why, but diamonds are very rare in this area. He has dug nearly 1,000 groups of stones, but he only came across these 5 diamonds in his hand. This is shockingly rare. Without enough diamonds, he can't make a diamond golem. Without the diamond golem, your own enchantment would be useless. Ji Shinkson laughed. He really didn't expect that with the upgrade of his profession, the threshold for use would also be raised. He put the diamond away again, and then summoned his 5 steel puppets. The steel puppets with zombie or skeleton heads stood obediently in a row, waiting for their master's orders. Don't think about enchantment for now, our conditions don't allow it. Ji Shin stood up and said with a smile on his face. However, we can consider giving you a new body. As soon as the steel puppets heard about the new body, they were all ready to move, their eyes full of doubts and confusion. Click on the system panel, slide your finger quickly, and a post will soon appear in front of you. This post was not popular, and he saw it accidentally. The content mainly records the escape journey of a handsome boy who was chased by zombies. Ji Shin had no interest in other people's privacy, but there was a record of lava in the post that quickly caught his attention. The coordinates and location of the magma are accurately marked on it, and it is not far from your base. If everything goes well, we can leave now and be back before dark. Although the steel puppet is very strong, no matter how strong it cannot be compared with the obsidian puppet. Ji-shin's puppet technique actually has another use, which is to directly puppetize a block, and then use the monster's head to pull the puppetized block to complete the upgrade of the puppet body. This upgrade is completely pure enhancement, adding the characteristics of the obsidian puppet without losing the characteristics of the steel puppet. Later, you can also integrate stronger netherite blocks. Of course, these are all things for later. Diamonds are so difficult to dig, and the rarity of netherite fragments will only become higher. Without too much hesitation, Ji-shin took 5 sets of golden carrots and rushed towards the magma marked in the post. I don't know where the calamity lark is. With his help, we can finish it in 10 minutes. In a territory of more than 10 kilometers, it is not easy for Ji-shin to find the disaster-prone lark. Ever since the calamity lark was given the task of patrolling the territory, he had become much more active and wished he could patrol the base 180 times a day. In addition, now that there is enough food, the opponent teleports even more unscrupulously. As long as you can't jump to death, jump to death. Forget it, I'd better walk by myself, it's not far anyway. Ji-shin laughed and started to rush out of the territory. It seemed that the poaching plan had to be put on the schedule as soon as possible. A little worry was not enough. A lot of zombies have gathered outside the territory, and they are all wandering around unconsciously, constantly making horrifying roars, and all living creatures that can be seen or bitten to death by them. It was impossible for Ji-shin to walk on the ground, otherwise he would definitely be entangled, and the time cost would be too high. If you can't walk on the ground, you can really walk in the sky. The power of creation activates. A grass square was pulled and slowly landed at Ji-shin's feet. Although he can't fly, he can completely control the grass cube to fly with him. Those powerful figures in fantasy novels can fly with swords, so why not control a grass block by yourself? No problem at all. Lifting force came from under the soles of the feet, and the grass cube flew into the sky with Ji-shin, rushing towards the direction of the magma. At this time, 2 players were avoiding the pursuit of zombies. On the plain, they finally found a tree as a bunker. The player in red said breathlessly, "Are the zombies from behind chasing after you?" "Don't worry, no. Fortunately, we ran fast, otherwise we would have become their sandwich cookies." The player in white was also very tired. "You said that the 100-day shock is really a test that people can survive. This is too difficult," the player in red complained with a sad face. "Tomorrow is the 10th day of the trial. After 10 days, the zombies will be strengthened, and we will probably not be able to survive it. Who are these trials prepared for?" The player in white also showed despair in his eyes at this time, so he simply fell to the ground and prepared to take a rest on the spot. At this moment, Ji-shin drove the grass cube and flew right over their heads. "Wowsow, immortal." The sleepiness in the white-clothed player's eyes suddenly dissipated, and his whole body became tense. The player in red shook his head and sneered, "Even if a god comes, he will still be bitten to death by zombies. No, there really are gods passing by in the sky. Wowsow, you are really a god. Quickly take a screenshot and take a picture." Hong Yi looked up and saw the flying grass cube. Because Ji Xinfei was very high, they could only see the back of an immortal figure, and no specific details could be seen at all. At a glance, it really looks like a god flying in the sky. In midair, Ji-shin's hunger level has been consumed by a quarter. Although flying in the air is cool, the consumption is equally terrifying, about 7 times that of running at full strength. But there is no need to worry about this. He deliberately picked up 5 more sets of golden carrots before going out. Bang kai, bang kai. After eating a few golden carrots, his hunger level quickly increased. "God, I'm very hungry now. Can you give me some food? If possible, I will become your most sincere believer." The player in red put his hands together, knelt down cross-legged and started to make a wish. The player in white shook his head and said, "Can you do this? Will the gods really help us?" The player in red replied impatiently, "Hush, don't talk, make a wish piously." Player in white, Ji-shin, who was high up in the sky, could not hear the following prayer, but by chance, a breeze suddenly blew, and his nose began to feel extremely itchy. "Ah, sneeze. Who is saying bad things about me behind my back?" Ji-shin rubbed his itchy nose and kept guessing in his mind. Huh, where did my golden carrot go? After sneezing, Ji-shin realized that the golden carrot he had just held in his hand was missing. Forget it, I won't look for it anymore. There's still a lot in the backpack anyway, just enough to eat. He didn't hesitate anymore, and drove the grass cube slowly towards the distance. Ah, the gods have really appeared. This is a golden carrot. As long as you are pious enough and speak softly, the gods can hear what I say. In a desperate situation, no matter how small the hope is, it is so dazzling. At this time, the player in red was already looking crazy, with tears in his eyes, holding the half set of golden carrots in his hand, showing off crazily and roaring angrily. The player in white was also stunned in place at this time, unable to say a word for a long time. Ha ha ha, there really is a god in this world. God, from now on, you are my faith and you are my hero. Herobrine. The player in red kept repeating his inner belief, and he also gave God a nice name, Herobrine, the weeping hero. Ji-shin didn't know what kind of misunderstanding he had caused while flying in the air. He himself didn't even notice the two red and white players under the tree. It was an accident that the golden carrot was taken away, and it was also an accident that it happened to fall into the hands of the red player after it was taken away. Under the double coincidence, everything becomes very reasonable. Ji-shin jumped off the grass block and came to the magma pool marked in the post. There were more than a dozen unconscious zombies wandering around the magma pool. When they saw Ji-shin, a living person, the bloodlust in their eyes was instantly aroused. It was like a hungry dog that had smelled a big pile of wormwood, twisted its rotten body, and opened its mouth to bite Ji-shin. How could Ji-shin, who had completed the first level gene lock, be matched by these zombies? The golden cicada stone sword appeared in his hand, and a ball of flame instantly filled the sword body. The scorching high temperature even slightly distorted the air. If it didn't have fire resistance, it would be possible to be burned by this sword. Ji-shin has been keeping this sword in his backpack to gather dust since he got it. Now he wants to try the true power of this sword. Use your wrist hard and hit the upper body with one strike. The extremely rich flame instantly split a zombie rushing in front in half from the middle. Ji-shin's body has already broken through a genetic lock. He can inflict 40 points of damage with one punch with one hand. Coupled with the additional damage of the golden cicada and stone sword, each blow far exceeds the limit that a zombie can withstand. The figure flashed again, and the fire exploded in the entire sky, complementing the scorching high-temperature magma. The remaining zombies are like blood tofu, breaking into pieces when touched. Hearing only a few zombie screams, Douta's experience flowed into Ji-shin's body. The experience bar has increased, but if you want to break through level 11, this experience is far from enough. After cleaning up the rotten fish and shrimps, Ji-shin slowly came to the edge of the magma on the surface. This magma pool doesn't look big, barely 5*5. The thick slurry bubbles and gushes, and the sound makes people shudder. If you fall into it, your body will be gone within 2 seconds. Others would definitely be a little timid, but Ji-shin was not afraid. The flames had given him strong fire resistance, and even lava with a temperature of thousands of degrees could not hurt him at all. He took out the iron bucket, and in the blink of an eye, half of the full pool of lava was scooped up by Ji-shin. When magma meets water, rocks are formed. When water meets magma, obsidian is formed. It is worth mentioning that the bucket can be brushed infinitely, but each bucket of magma can only generate one obsidian. To upgrade 5 steel golems to obsidian golems, at least 40 barrels of magma would be needed. However, this small magma pool can only provide Ji-shin with 19 barrels of magma, not even half of it. How about using this magma to make a hell gate? In this way, there will be inexhaustible magma. Ji-shin groped his chin and thought, and decided to change his strategy. Magma is a scarce resource in the upper realm, but once it reaches the lower realm, it becomes a waste. You can encounter a large sea of magma if you just walk around. Using the few barrels of magma to make a hell gate is obviously the best way to solve the shortage of obsidian. In addition, with a large amount of magma, Ji-shin can even replace all the outer walls with obsidian. In this way, it will not be easy for even the 90-day mutated zombies to invade the interior of the base. Of course, reality is no better than games, and Ji-shin doesn't know what hell is like in this world. If things go wrong, there may be dangers. After a few golden carrots entered the entrance, the grass cubes started flying again. On the way back, Ji-shin was a little bored. He waved his hand and clicked on the system forum, ready to browse through any recent popular posts. Nowadays, the only way for people to understand the outside world is to communicate through systematic forums, and Ji-shin is no exception. The functions in the system panel are very complete, and text, pictures and videos in the forum can all be uploaded. I briefly browsed through the posts about recent fires, and all of them were news about organizations being wiped out. Because small organizations do not have resources and connections, they cannot survive the first round of zombies and will scatter and die. Ji-shin is the only organization in the trial area where one person can support a group of people and still live happily. Suddenly, the topic of whether there are gods in MC quickly became a hot search topic, and the popularity is still rising. Ji-shin became interested. He was not sure whether there were gods in this world. There must be a high probability, otherwise many things cannot be explained, and it would be very reasonable to attribute them all to gods. Click on the topic, and a post about God's blessings will appear on the system's big screen. The only faith in my heart, Herobrine, author, Red Player. Ji-shin's eyes were strange. As one of the creator gods in the 1100th world, he had a very high status in the hearts of the players. He really didn't expect that there were still people who believed in him in this world. When I clicked on the post's comments, they were all ridiculing comments. First floor. Ha ha ha, come and see, there is a fool here who has traveled through time and still believes in him. Close black lens bracket. Second floor. He is just a fictitious character, and the reality does not exist. The poster may have been bitten to death by zombies, and he imagined that gods were saving him. Close black lens bracket. Third floor. Ha ha ha, Tse wake up, this is reality now, not playing a game. Close black lens bracket. Fourth floor. Okay, let's all leave. It's boring. This kind of post can actually get popular. Close black lens bracket. In the past life, many people also played the game Minecraft, and they also knew something about him, the fictional game character. If this was in the past life, it would be okay if you said that your MC believed in him. But after the game has become a reality, there are still people who are crazy about a fictional character. This is something that many people cannot understand. Post owner. I don't know who you are talking about. Herobrine is the name I gave my faith. I don't allow you to talk about my faith like that. Close black lens bracket. Obviously, the poster does not know his story. After all, not everyone has played MC in the past life, and there is no way to know the creator god created by the player. Herobrine is translated as Tears of Heroes, and his original intention was to compare the golden carrots given by the gods to the tears of the gods. Tears of Heroes naturally became the name of his faith. Now someone told him that his beliefs were fictitious, which naturally struck a sore spot in his spirit. First floor. Hey, the poster is playing hard to get. His full name is Herobrine. Second floor. Since the poster thinks that the him you know and the him we know are not the same person, can you tell us his specific characteristics? Close black lens bracket. Poster. I don't know much about him. I only know that he can fly, can control blocks, and that his eyes seem to be white, that kind of hollow white. Close black lens bracket. Second floor. I'm really speechless. Isn't this just him? I spent a long time chatting with a fool. How unlucky. Gone. Close black lens bracket. Third floor. I'm leaving too. The poster should go check his brain. He may be hallucinating. Close black lens bracket. In a dark tunnel, the player in red looked at the comments under his post. His angry expression gradually turned crazy, and he muttered to himself. You don't understand anything. The true god Herobrine gave me hope to live, but you are all wrong. Since the sudden change, players in red and white have been escaping from the zombies. Because they have not awakened any professions, they are not even qualified to join the big guild. Under the long-term high-pressure survival, the spirit of the red player has reached the edge of collapse. Now the only thing keeping him alive is the hero Herobrine who gave him the golden carrot. At this time, the golden carrot was no longer a food, but became a symbol of his faith. Brother in red, please keep your voice down, you will attract zombies. His friend, the player in white, made a booing finger to his mouth. You saw it too, right? You are the only one in the world who can believe me. They were wrong. The player in red roared, showing no intention of restraining himself. The player in white can't understand his friend now. To be precise, the other party has gone crazy. Roar. The sound of digging dirt was heard, and a beam of light penetrated the dark tunnel. Countless zombies outside smelled the breath of living people, and they all rushed over. Oops. We've been discovered. The white-clothed player's hair stood on end. He picked up the red-clothed player who was still in a daze and fled deeper into the tunnel. Ji Shin's temperament and appearance are different from him, who is decisive and good at destruction and killing. He prefers creation and formation to destruction. Having a base and team of his own is what attracts him enough. Therefore, he did not associate the Herobrine described by the red player with him at all. My current abilities should be very similar to Fankun's mustard. Ji Shin smiled slightly and liked the post of the player in red. In fact, in the troubled times of other worlds, having faith in your heart can sometimes help you overcome many difficulties. Human beings are all perceptual creatures and need spiritual sustenance, and faith is just a way for people to urge their self-improvement. That kind of ignorance, and ignorance is the most terrifying thing in the world. So the player in red deserves a thumbs up from Ji Shin. As for whether there are gods in this world, it actually doesn't matter to Ji Shin. He just needs to protect his own 3-acre land. Back at the base, it was getting dark. Open black lens bracket ding. The blood moon rises, and tonight is a sleepless night. Close black lens bracket. The sound of the system echoed in the ears of everyone in the trial area, and panic quickly spread. After the blood moon rises, the number and strength of zombies will be significantly enhanced, and players cannot sleep through the night. The roar of zombies is also a very important mental challenge for players. If they are not fully mentally prepared, they will most likely die of mental breakdown. Ji Shin and his team members have no such worries at all. He inhumanely bought up all the surrounding land for dozens of kilometers, and not a single zombie would spawn in the base. The towering city walls on all sides prevent the zombies outside the base from entering deep. Even if the zombies had 10 more voices, they would not be able to transmit the sound to their ears. This may be the happiness of rich people. With nothing to do, and with the blood moon rising and not being able to sleep, Ji Shin decided to build the Hell Gate first and briefly explore it. Take out 2 buckets of water, dig them out on the ground and pour them into 3 spaces. The simplest infinite water is ready. Magnetic. The sound of magma being doused was heard, and a dark purple square appeared in front of him. Obsidian is the hardest type of block in Minecraft besides bedrock. Immune to all explosion damage, use a diamond pickaxe to dig through it. According to legend, the weapon of the true god him in MC is hard obsidian. This made Ji Shin couldn't help but wonder whether his block control also worked on obsidian. If possible, could he also use obsidian as his own weapon? Just do it. He put his hand on the obsidian, his eyes gradually became serious, and he prayed silently in his heart. SSS level talent, don't let me down. Collect and activate instantly. The next moment, the obsidian cracked and turned into an object that was sucked into his backpack. It's done. Ji Shin was overjoyed and breathed a long sigh of relief. The ability to collect in an instant still worked when facing obsidian. After repeating the same operation several times, 19 obsidian stones appeared in Ji Shin's hands. In this way, after the diamond puppet is made in the future, he can use enchantment to add various enchanting effects to the obsidian to increase its damage and effect. Ji Shin took out 10 obsidian stones, 3 vertically and 2 horizontally, and quickly placed them in the shape of a door on the ground. The sound of flint striking sounded, and the terrifying breath from hell hit his face, making Ji Shin's clothes rustle. The hell of the lower world, like the land of disaster, both belong to regional worlds at different latitudes. They are independent of each other, but they protect and influence each other, and together they constitute the entire MC universe. The main world where Ji Shin is located can actually be called a trial place, and it is also part of the MC universe. If people want to enter the land of disaster from the place of trial, they must use the help of Zinpan. But entering hell is very simple, you just need to build an obsidian portal. Ji Shin looked at the dark purple portal and without any further hesitation, he stepped out with 1 foot and passed through the portal. The most common monster in hell is definitely the zombie piglin. Piglins are very strange creatures. As long as you don't mess with them, they will most likely not hurt you. A feeling of dizziness came over. Ji-shin shook his head vigorously, and what he saw was a blood-red color. Boiling magma, soft soul sand, and luminous fluorite inlaid on the top of hell. All of this is very similar to the MC hell in his memory, just like opening up a super realistic light and shadow when playing a game. I took screenshots of the game myself and added modules to make the terrain richer. The scorching high temperature can burn some items instantly, but it has almost no effect on Ji-shin. The ability to burn with fire gives him immunity to heat damage. After walking out of the portal, he began to observe the surrounding situation and walked towards the magma sea ahead. Ji-shin had no intention of exploring in depth. Simply collecting some magma was the purpose of his trip. Jurjurji. A harsh pig cry sounded in the air, as if communicating something. Looking back, Ji-shin found that the two pig spirits were looking at him with strange eyes. He was familiar with this look, and he had felt it from the predators at that time. These piglins must have intelligence. Ji-shin narrowed his eyes and secretly confirmed that piglins are social creatures, so it is not surprising that they have intelligence. A younger pig spirit said, "Sister, look, that pig is so ugly." "Shish, keep your voice down, he is not a pig, he is a foreigner." Sister pig next to the little pig spirit replied. "Foreign races. Are all foreign races so ugly?" The little piglin continued to ask. Sister pig nodded. "Anyway, she's not as good looking as us." In 1100th games, piglins do not actively attack players and belong to a semi-neutral biological group. This can be seen from the fact that the pig spirit siblings did not attack Ji-shin after they discovered him, except of course for reckless men like the pig spirit barbarians. In addition, piglins are particularly obsessed with metal products. When they are angry, you only need to throw the gold ingots prepared in advance to them, and the rampaging piglins will stop and exchange items for you. This is also a good idea. A disguised escape method. These are all situations in the game, and specific situations in reality must be analyzed in detail. Ji-shin looked at the two pig spirits, one big and one small, and a light suddenly flashed in his heart. Can I find an ally in the lower realm? This way I can quickly understand the situation in the lower realm. This is reality now, not a game. The piglin has developed spiritual intelligence at this time, and is not unable to communicate. Being able to communicate means that you can understand their needs, and having needs means that you have the opportunity to win over this force. Putting aside how powerful the piglins are in combat, their power and the intelligence network that spreads throughout Purgatory are enough for Ji-shin to take them seriously. The disaster villagers have all formed a kingdom, and the piglin clan is just a mess for no reason. If they can successfully meet their leader, both parties can even propose some mutually beneficial conditions. The worst case scenario is to be expelled from the country, and you won't lose anything. While Ji-shin was thinking, Brother Piglin tugged Sister Piglin's clothes and said, "Sister, what is this foreigner laughing at?" "Hulu. I don't know, I guess there's something wrong with my brain, Hulu." Sister Piglin shook her head with disgust. Their voices were not quiet, so Ji-shin naturally heard them. Ji-shin quickly stopped smiling, pretending to be nothing, took out the golden carrot that had been stored in his backpack, cleared his throat, and said with his voice raised several orders of magnitude. "Oh, I'm so hungry. The golden carrots are so delicious." When he spoke of gold, he added a special emphasis. The last thing a pig can't refuse is food, and the last thing a pig spirit can't refuse is golden food. The piglin siblings have lived in the lower world all year round and have seen a lot of gold, but golden food has never been heard of, and the curiosity in their eyes has long been undisguised. "Sister, what is he eating? It's golden and looks delicious, Hulu." Brother Piglin wiped his saliva and stared straight at the golden carrot in Ji-shin's hand. Really, this move directly pinched the vital points of these two inexperienced pig spirits, making the greedy pig spirit brother drool. Sister Piglin is obviously more mature, and her resistance to delicious food is slightly stronger. "Brother, be good. Food from foreigners is poisonous. When you get back, my sister will roast pork for you to eat." Hulu. Ji-shin glanced at this scene out of the corner of his eye and was a little bit dumbfounded. The pig spirit sister clearly wanted to eat it too. Why were you so restrained? Release your nature. He waved the golden carrot in his hand in front of their eyes and motioned to come over for some. The pig spirit sister grabbed the pig spirit brother who was about to run out and shook her head, her eyes still a little wary. If that's the case, then you're welcome. Ji-shin picked up the golden carrot and took a bite. Crunchy and chicken flavored. He also deliberately filled his mouth with golden carrot juice to tempt the little piglin. Brother Piglin's heart was broken when he saw this foreigner bite off half of the golden carrot in one bite, and the golden liquid splashed everywhere. There was a hint of urgency in his voice. Sister, you see that foreigner has already eaten it. He is not poisoned. I want to eat it too, Hulu. Piglin's strong pursuit of gold made Brother Piglin feel uncomfortable all over as if he had eaten a tickle. Sister Piglin couldn't hold herself any longer at this time. In the end, nature prevailed over reason, and tears of disappointment flowed from the corners of her mouth. Seeing that the time was right, Ji-shin also found a place for them to get off. He took out 2 golden carrots from his backpack and placed them on the ground. However, he took a few steps back. What he wanted to express was already obvious. Snoring, sister, look, it's on the ground. The pig spirit brother broke free from his sister's restraints, sprinted for 100 meters to pick up the 2 golden carrots Ji-shin left on the ground, and then handed one of the golden carrots to his sister. Hululu, sister, it's golden. It's delicious. Brother, this is someone else's thing, we can't take it. Although Sister Pigling said this casually, her body was very honest, and she took advantage of the situation and held the golden carrot handed over by her brother in her arms like a treasure. The pig spirit brother took one sip and burst into juice. The golden sweetness slid down his throat. At this moment, his nature was fully released. Hululu, sister, this food is so delicious. I have never eaten such delicious food. Piglins have been living in the lower hell and have no access to things like carrots, let alone knowing the recipe for making golden carrots. Even if they know how to go to the upper world by building at the gate of hell, their bodies cannot withstand the laws of the upper world, and they will become unconscious zombie piglins within a few seconds. This is the same reason that Ji-shin cannot stay in the land of disaster for a long time. Sister Pigling saw that her brother was eating so deliciously. She finally couldn't bear it anymore and started eating. Hululu, it smells good. It smells so good. Brother Piglin had already finished eating the golden carrot in his hand. He was sucking on his fingers and mumbling, it's too little. It would be great if I could still eat one. Ji-shin smiled slightly. He had plenty of golden carrots now, but he only put 2 on the ground. This was naturally intentional. If he fed the 2 siblings at once, then he would have nothing to talk about next. I have a few more here, do you want more? Ji-shin came to the siblings at some point and took out 2 more golden carrots from his backpack. Brother Piglin looked at the golden carrot presented to him and jumped up, Hululu. I want it, I want it. Ji-shin's lips curled up into a smile. This was the first step to strike up a conversation. The intensity was just right, without seeming to be flattering, and the sense of mystery was maintained. Of course, he did not forget Sister Piglin, and stuffed 2 of them into her arms. After all, she was the key to his next step. After Sister Piglin took the carrot that was handed to her, her cheeks flushed slightly. After all, she was only a few years older than Piglin. After 2 rounds of attacks, she also fell. After saying thank you softly to Ji-shin, he started eating. At this time, she looked at the face of this foreign pig. It was a little ugly, but it was not impossible. After the siblings had eaten and drank, Ji-shin briefly explained his identity and then asked for their names. The elder sister is called Pig Spirit Xiaoyan, and the younger brother is called Pig Spirit Xiaozan. I am a businessman from the upper world. I am here to do business with you. Ji-shin told the 2 siblings his purpose. Of course, trade is just an appearance, but the inner goal is to build a bridge of communication and negotiation with the piglins. In the future, if there is something that cannot be solved by oneself, the pig-spirit relationship will become a very important connection. Doing business. The older sister, the pig-spirit Xiaoyan, groaned, seeing that Ji-shin was dressed like a businessman. What do you want to sell? All kinds of metal products, including the food I gave you just now. Ji-shin replied calmly, with a sincere expression on his face. My sister, the pig spirit Xiaoyan, looked at Ji-shin for a long time and then said, I can't make the decision on this matter. You should talk to our clan leader about this matter. The Nether Piglins did not form a country like the disaster villagers, but formed a more primitive tribal system, unified and controlled by a leader. It makes sense if you think about it carefully. The lower realm is full of magma seas, the terrain is rugged and complex, and it is quite difficult to have various tribes. Understood. Then please lead the way. Ji Shin showed a very kind smile, which was actually the result he wanted. The grasper has short hands and the cannibal has a short mouth. After a little hesitation, her sister, the pig spirit Xiaoyan, took Ji Shin with her. The little pig spirit, the younger brother, is not as much as his sister thought. If he can eat golden radish every day in the future, he can do anything. The pig spirit siblings walked in front, and Ji Shin followed behind, walking towards the Crimson Forest in the distance. The Crimson Forest is a forest-like biome filled with giant fungi structures. Crimson fungi and giant crimson fungi grow in this environment, and even some weird fungi will occasionally be generated. Weeping vines can be seen hanging beneath nether wart blocks in giant fungus structures, and sometimes chilioplasms will spawn alongside them. Its surface is covered with crimson fungi, patches of scattered nether rock, and scattered nether warts, with crimson fungus cords growing on them. Ji Shin stepped on it, and the soft mushroom rock made a rustling sound. It rose and fell, as if there was a sea of magma under his feet. On the top of the rock wall, in addition to the common clusters of glowstone, nether wart blocks will also form in piles, and weeping vines will grow like stalactites at their bases. The only difference from the game is that this Crimson Forest is really big. If it weren't for the Piglin siblings leading the way, Ji Shin would probably get lost in it. The pig spirit Xiaoyan turned around and said, "Be careful of the mushrooms on the ground. They often trip pigs into the lava." Before he finished speaking, a mushroom at Ji Shin's feet suddenly poked its head out, and his body lost balance and almost fell into the lava. "I've seen it. Fortunately I'm not a pig." Ji Shin wiped the sweat from his forehead. Because of the passive nature of the flames, he would not be harmed by the burning magma, but he still felt instinctive fear when he saw a vast sea of magma. This has nothing to do with ability. It's the same reason that pig spirits can't walk when they see golden carrots. After passing through a small magma island, the number of crimson trees suddenly decreased, and the site suddenly became very empty. A castle made of basalt and nether bricks appeared in front of everyone. There is also a group of Piglin barbarians patrolling in front of the castle. "Bold, you actually dare to break into the Piglin king's residence. Why don't you retreat quickly?" Snort. Two pig spirit barbarians holding golden battle axes blocked Ji Shin's path, with deep hostility in their eyes. If he dared to take another step forward, the battle axes would be smashed down on his head and face. "Stop." The pig spirit Xiaoyan stepped in front of Ji Shin and said with an angry expression, "This is my guest, don't be rude. I want to take him to see my father." "Miss, he is a foreigner. You have to keep your eyes open and don't be deceived by him, Hulu." The two barbarian soldiers looked anxious. They were about to forcefully break through Xiaoyan's obstruction and kill Ji Shin with a wave of their hands. "My sister told you to stop, didn't you hear me?" Seeing that the two guards were about to take action, his younger brother Pigling raised his eyebrows and roared angrily. Although Xiaoyan is the eldest daughter of the Piglin king, her power is obviously not as powerful as her younger brother Xiaojan. After all, the position of the Piglin king will be passed on to Xiaojan in the future. When the two guards saw that the young master had spoken, they naturally could not stop him, so they had to send someone to inform the Piglin king first. Ji Shin stood aside and was dumbfounded. Could it be that his luck was so incredible, that he could meet the princesses and princes of the pig spirit tribe just by walking around? By the way, if you are a princess or a prince, why don't you bring a guard when you go out? If you die outside, who will inherit the family business? Thinking back, did I almost make Prince Piglin cry just now? Ji Shin clicked his tongue twice in his heart. He must focus on conquering this little pig spirit in the next step. Isn't the crown prince the future king? This relationship must be well established. With the help of the piglins to open the way, the piglin barbarians became much more honest. Although their faces were still full of dissatisfaction, they could only let them pass. After Ji Shin walked into the castle, one of the pig spirit barbarians said one after another, "That foreigner is so ugly. What on earth did the lady like in him?" Hulu. Another barbarian soldier also echoed, "That's right. He doesn't even have fangs. He looks like a soft persimmon at first glance, and the babies he gives birth to will definitely not look good." According to the aesthetics of piglins, the fatter a male pig is and the longer its tusks are, the more girls will like it. Although Ji Shin's body is very strong, compared with their group of pigs, he is completely inferior. However, being thin does not mean fighting strength. If the barbarian soldiers had insisted on killing Ji Shin just now, it would definitely not be him, a foreigner, who died in the end. Therefore, Xiao Zhen's voice just now actually saved the lives of these two unreasonable barbarians. "I heard that General Barbarian's apprentice, Pigling Xiaocheng, seems to like our young lady. Now he has an additional love rival. Do you want to say hello to him?" "That's for sure. If it's any later, our young lady's heart will be seduced by that foreigner." After the two barbarian soldiers discussed it, they rushed in the same direction. The Piglin King's palace is very luxurious. Almost all the interior of the palace is made of golden gold. From a wide perspective, it can only be described as magnificent. This scale is not inferior to that of a king's palace. In fact, in a sense, the Piglin Patriarch is the king of a Piglin country, but their hierarchy is more like the enfeoffment system in the European Middle Ages. Subdivide the land and give it to his subordinates to manage, and the Piglin King only needs to manage these subordinates. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.